Our Torah portion gets its name from the second word of the first verse. Ve'ata titzaveh et b'nei Yisrael, veichu alecha shemen zait zach katit lamaor laha'alot ner tamid. You shall further instruct the Israelites to bring you clear oil of beaten olives for lighting, for kindling the lamps eternally. For kindling the lamps eternally, we need this special kind of oil that comes from beaten olives. Now, I imagine some of you have traveled to Israel and done Dig for a Day. A number of years ago, when I brought my family and our little boys, that was a real adventure. The Dig for the Day, we were on a site, an archaeological site south of Jerusalem, and the archaeologists there explained to us that this was the area of ancient olive groves, and they showed us the ancient olive presses that were there, found on the site, which could have been the very olive presses which supplied the ancient temple in Jerusalem with its oil for ritual purposes, as described in our parsha. And the archaeologists are always very careful to say, could have been, could have been. That's where they fill in with imagination. And it was thrilling for all of us to be on that site, even though we only found a few little shards. We felt like we were a part of history. Shemen zayit zach katit lamaor, clear oil for beaten olives for lighting. So why this detail about beaten olives? It seems that the harder the beating, the brighter the light. And this is often taken by commentators throughout the ages as a metaphor for the human experience. The harder a life, the brighter the light that burns. Last week, I officiated at the funeral for our congregant Anna Lowenthal, Aleha Shalom. She was 103 years old when she died. And her daughter Julia, at the graveside there, it was very cold, and we were huddled together, and Julia took the time that needed to be taken in order to tell her mother's story of survival. And the lesson of her mother's life story to her daughters and now to her grandchildren was a very clear mantra. Over and over again, she said, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. This week I had a chance to learn a little bit about an Israeli song that I knew, but I really didn't know much about its context or its place in contemporary Israeli history. The name of the song is Hein Afshar. Yes, it is possible. And this song was written by Chaim Chefer and David Zahavi during the War of Independence, when we did not know if Israel was going to make it. And the soldiers who put their bodies on the line did not know if they would make it out alive. And so this song became an anthem for the whole country, not only for its young army, but for the whole young country. Yes, it's possible. Hein afshar, hein afshar. Another evening will come, and the gate will creak quietly, and your eyes will be so good as if there were no war in the world. Hein afshar. Yes, it is possible. Yes, it is possible that this will simply happen tomorrow. Yes, it is possible. On the jeep that passed by, young men roared that it is over now. Hein afshar. Yes, it is possible that this will simply happen tomorrow. And through the autumn leaves, Through the fallen leaves, autumn already blows. The dust on the road slowly falls still, and the day burns only towards you and dreams of a distant meeting. It's the story of a soldier who longs to return home to be reunited with his beloved, and he tells himself like a mantra, Hen afshar, it is possible. When all around him was death and violence, and he had no reason to believe that it was possible, he prayed, Hen afshar, it is possible. This week, we are waking up from a dormant state of lockdown. We've been asleep to various degrees, each one of us, and it is important now to remind ourselves and to remind one another, Hein afshar, some things are possible. Some things will yet come to be. And this is a kind of a prayer. It's a very Jewish kind of prayer. God knows some of us have been beaten down like those olives for the lighting oil. Some more than others, harder knocks. As individuals, as family systems, friendships have taken a beating, workplaces and livelihoods. The hard knocks of being a citizen of this city, of this good country. We have been beaten down as a Jewish people, God knows. And as members of this humanity, as earthlings of this planet that suffers so. And so there are some prayers that put God on the hook. And to be honest, I'm sometimes uneasy with those prayers because I'm not really sure that's how prayer works. But afshar prayers, it is possible kinds of prayers that come in moments of feeling beaten down and weary. Those prayers are reminders that much is still possible in our lifetimes. And those are the kinds of prayers that put us on the hook. Those are the kind of prayers that I find most meaningful, perhaps most effective, most true. These are the assertions that some things are possible because we can yet make them so. Some things are only in the hands of God. There is so much that is out of our control, and prayer comes to teach this too. We are not God. We are only beaten olives. But afshar prayers, prayers of possibility, come to uplift us and guide us and instruct us in how to shape the reality that we are given to more closely resemble the reality that we wish will come to be. And that is the purpose of Shabbat as well. Shabbat, of course, is a glimpse of the world to come as we wish it, as we imagine it, and the sweet wine is a taste of the joy that we long for, even after a hard week. And the kind and good and sacred and prayerful community that we create on Shabbat, that too is a hint of the peace that we will know again, ifshar, if we make it so. And yes, these little lights, these pure lights of the Shabbat candles, once made of beaten olive oil, these too are glimmers of the fulfillment that we can know despite the hardships of our lifetime. So we look to these two little lights with hope and with that innermost prayer, Hen afshar. It is possible.